Welcome, friends, to episode 333 of Color Magic Gaming Podcast, where we talk about all types of things that affect gamers at and away from the gaming tables and computers. Wow, almost didn't get that out this week. But I am your host, PowrDragn, and like always, for 333 episodes, still got my main man, Brian Sonic, and I hope you are surviving the summer down in Texas.
Yep, we are trying to only go outside when completely necessary.
Bro, I remember living that. Like, for people who don't know, when you talk about like things being hot, I remember we had a summer. This must have been in like around 2010. There was a summer where I think it was 90 days in a row of temperatures over 100 degrees or something like that. It was just brutal. And I was like, man, nobody needs to live like this. What are we doing? So bad that when it went down to like 95, you're like, oh, it actually is a little cooler today.
Right?
Like that's unreal. Unreal.
No, it was a full 2 degrees cooler than yesterday. And me without my muff.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on, man. No, this actually is going to be an interesting episode because there's a lot of different things to talk about as far as like Magic, Pokemon, video games, like just kind of news from all over, which is cool because it wasn't that crazy of a week, but just enough things came out for us to talk about. But before we get into that, like always, we got to ask you if you'd be so kind and support the show. We do have a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/colormagic and you can get a shout out just like Daynix. So thank you for being a patron. Really appreciate it, truly. But also, maybe you just want to buy some cards because, there's a few sites you can pick from. But the one we want to recommend is our sponsor, manapool.com. Mostly because you can shop for anything you want over there, sealed and singles. And their site's actually really good with a really sweet UI. And honestly, if you're trying to figure out the cheapest cards or the fewest number of packages or whatever, their system's really good at doing that. And you can just drop full deck list or card lists in there and it'll help you sort and find all the different places you could buy stuff from. So go check them out. It's manapool.com. But all right, dude, this lead story here kind of is in the same vein of what we've talked about previously with, secret layers being backed up, printing issues at WotC. They've addressed this multiple times. But then this past week, they said, hey, we're going to have some delays in Marvel superheroes. So it looks like all of the booster products will be available. And that makes sense, right? If you're going to have something, need to at least have the boosters on the shelves, right? Because you also got to take care of your big box stores and everybody else. You got to have something that everybody's waiting on. But they did say the other stuff like the bundles, commander decks, jumpstart boosters, and the collector's edition commander decks will potentially see delays in different areas in North America. So, even welcome decks, they said, could be delayed. But if your store was already signed up for what they're calling the Avengers Academy events, which are basically like learn to play events, some of those will already be
very cool name also.
Yeah, I think it's a cool name as well. So if you're signed up for that already, there's product allocated to make sure you have stuff to run those, which makes sense again, right? It's a new player acquisition thing. You're launching a new set with the brand people like, at least have that product out there. But it does say play booster, collector boosters, and pre-release packs are all on track to arrive on time for June 19th for pre-releases. So that shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, man, I think this just comes back to what they've said, what we've talked about many times, is printing issues are just a thing right now. And it's not going to change anytime soon. And this makes a lot of sense because they're probably printing even more of Marvel superheroes than they do of a regular set.
Yeah, you would be crazy not to do that.
Yeah, right? Like, it's going to be a popular... Hell, if nothing else, you paid a lot for the license. You're going to try to get your money out of it, right? So just print what you can. But yeah, this is one that, some stores are a little upset. And I understand, because now the money has to be spread over multiple weeks, instead of just getting all your stuff one time. It sounds like, at least through the retailer channels, stuff will be showing up like in subsequent weeks after the set releases. So it probably won't be a long delay. But still, you're going to have a lot of customers that are like, hey, I just really want the commander decks, or I really want the special edition commander decks, or people that maybe even have pre-ordered them with you already, right? So now they're going to wait, and God forbid if those show up from a competitor across town first because they're using a different distributor who's closer or something, or they show up in the Amazon store, or like there's going to be headaches, right? That's just going to be a problem for some stores. But I don't know. I like again, we're hearing this with so many companies having printing issues right now.
Yeah, we know they ain't making it up. It's affecting everybody everywhere.
Yeah, and on some level, yeah, maybe there's some of it's a supply issue, some of it's this thing, that thing, but there's also like, and we're going to talk about some stories later in the show that just the popularity of nerddom and in particular collectible card games is just, I don't know if we're having a renaissance or it's an all-time high. Like there's, it's everywhere right now though. Like I can even tell people at MagicCon, there were some creators there that I didn't know who they were, but they had an audience and people knew who they were. Turns out they're not even full-time Magic creators. They're just other people who have like 100, 200,000 followers that just picked up Magic. So now all their communities are into it. You know, so and we're seeing that so much, especially with more athletes and more celebrities picking it up. And we're seeing the same thing with Pokemon. You know, it's just I don't, because people have asked me like, well, what do you think what Wizards should do to solve this or whatever? Like, man, I don't know. They don't want this any more than you want this. Right? Like there, and it's tough to see people that believe there's this is like some major plan of just like, well, they're probably trying to sell more of this thing than that thing. And it's like, no, they want to
If
sell as
Wizards could somehow improve the world's economic situation and supply and demand, they probably wouldn't be making pieces of cardboard. They'd be doing something. Yeah, yes, believe it or not, there are things more profitable than these insanely priced pieces of cardboard.
yeah, they want to sell more of everything. Like they want them to be there when you're ready with fistfuls of cash to buy them, right? They don't want to have the hell, to be honest, they don't it'd also be cheaper for them on shipping, I'd imagine. Instead of having to send trucks out 4 weeks in a row or whatever to get all the product out, it'd be easier just to have a couple of planes and a couple of major shipments to your distributors and call it good, right? So
Chris Cox wouldn't be CEO of Hasbro. He'd be probably running for office somewhere, or possibly being, the at least transportation secretary or something.
oh sure, for sure. Yeah, the only thing I could see, which again, complete speculation, by the way. I don't even back this, but it's at least a thing that if you wanted to talk about business issues, there could have been a thing where they said, okay, we will make sure this much of the product is available for order, but maybe you don't have to take orders or payment for stuff until June 1st. So you cross into, well, no, even then, because that'd still be second quarter, right? January, March, April, May. So that doesn't even work. Yeah, never mind. Because there were people talking about trying to move money from one quarter to the next to try to make certain quarters look good. But even then, that wouldn't do it because everything's still going to launch or deliver in June, or at least they're trying to get everything to deliver in June. So yeah, even that isn't a thing. So yeah, there's no good reason. They would rather just sell stuff, man. If if your conspiracy theory ever relies on them not selling a thing, it's probably not accurate. like the companies want to sell more things. They want to see the numbers go up. They want to make shareholders happy. So yeah, if and even talking to people at WotC that I've been able to talk to about things, they know that there are problems and they would like to sell more things. They just can't. Like, and even with the secret layers, they just said like we don't have a better way to do this right now. Like that's it. That's the explanation. And I'm like, okay, cool. If they had a better way or they believe there's a better way, they'd be doing it. So yeah, this one just sucks if you
And we
pre-ordered a
got
bunch of stuff.
again plenty of witness testimony on that from people who it took 9 months to get their secret lair cards.
Yeah. They want to sell more. This is just a tough one because I think there are going to be I guess the issue for me is I hope this doesn't come back on local game stores
Right.
because there will be people who've like, like I was saying, already pre-ordered their commander decks or whatever and aren't going to be able to get them on opening weekend. And then they're going to be mad about it. And it's not even going to be the store's fault. They probably tried to order them, probably did everything they were supposed to do, probably put in pre-orders on time, and it's just not going to matter.
I
And
mean, it may benefit a game for somebody that was lucky and didn't have as many supply problems. There'll be a chance for, hey, this is a chance to get your game in front of some eyes that maybe are just looking for something to play this month.
sure. And honestly, they're just going to be release after release. I mean, every company's putting out stuff almost quarterly now. So there's going to be stuff to buy. So that's the other issue. That's also the other reason WotC doesn't want delays, right? They want to get all your money when you're ready to spend it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a tough one. And like I said, it's really not an issue as long as stuff at least delivers pretty much in rapid weekly succession until they're all out there. The concern, like I said, becomes for local stores if, like, let's say I still had my shop and then one of my customers goes like, hey, you told me you can't get it. I see it on Amazon right now and I can have it in 2 days. It's like, what do I tell them? Like, I'm not getting it till Friday, but they could have it on Wednesday. Like, that's a
I
rough
mean,
spot.
if you care at all about your local store, hopefully you can wait, a day and a half.
Oh, I get that, and you get that, but trust me, there are customers that the sooner they can have it or the cheapest they can have it, that's all that matters. And I have literally seen people make a decision over literally $2 difference, which is wild to me because I'm like, you can't say you support your local store, be aware of some problem or whatever, and be like, but this other place has it for $2 less. I'm just gonna go buy that booster box. Like, it's one thing if you're buying like a $8 single and it's $6 somewhere else and you need a playset. Well, yeah, that's a big chunk of the price. But when you're talking $120 booster box and one place has it for like 118, like, bro, just support your local store. What are we doing? Like, come on. But yeah, just putting that out there. If your store doesn't have product, it's not going to be their fault necessarily. This is just something going on in the system that people should probably be aware of. But all right, man, let's move into the soapbox because I have kind of an interesting one to talk about. And I saw today, actually yesterday maybe, but there was a demo put online that actually looks like an actual gameplay demo. So it wasn't just like, hey, here's our sizzle reel. This is actually, hey, we're going through things that exist, which is nice for a new Fable release. And hell, I don't know, when did Fable 2 come out? 20 years ago now?
That sounds about right.
I was about to give a date, but I think it might actually be getting close to 20 years. Jeez, yeah.
It probably is because we've been talking about like where is the next Fable for literally what feels like about 2 decades.
Yeah, that was a long time. Oh my god! Now I need to go look because I feel like
I'm
when
already
did Fable 2 release? Because I have no
2008.
idea.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so we're not far off, 18 years or whatever, right? Like, so that was a while ago. But
which again, for an incredibly popular game, is insane to have not had a sequel in 2
oh yeah,
2 decades.
And the thing that got me, and this is why I'm bringing it up, right? I'm one of the people, I didn't play a ton of RPGs post, like, I don't know, being 20-ish years old, because they felt very samey to me on some level. Like, if you like the brand and you like the characters, it's probably worth playing, but there wasn't a lot of difference for me. But I'd heard about Fable 1, and then Fable 2 had come out, so I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and pick this up. I'll give it a shot. I hadn't played one in a while. And man, I kid you not, I played that game for a month before I even knew anything about the story in the game. I was playing a couple hours a night and I'm like collecting different things. I'm buying properties and I'm helping people with little chores. I'm training my dog. I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm like, man, you can do anything in this game. This game's cool. And then after I'm talking to a few people and I'm helping them out with stuff, I'm like, oh, this must be the quest line of stuff to do.
Oh, like, the world's in danger. Oops.
Yeah, I'm like sidetracked with, and I'm like, that was such a cool experience for me playing an RPG where I could just do all this stuff. And as I played through it, there were all these decisions where, like, moral decisions of, like, even early on, there's a person where I think you have to go, you go do this mission, whatever it is, but you find out the person she sent you to go find is dead, right? You end up talking to like their ghost or something. So when you go back to talk to her, you're like, you're given the choice of like, do you let her hold on to hope or do you just tell her or whatever? And it's like, dang, already? Like, you just hit me with this in the beginning. But it's that type of decision making through the whole game. Even one point where toward the end where you disguise yourself as the bad guys to infiltrate their base and you see the prisoners that are being underfed and mistreated and like you can pull a lever and feed them extra food, but it might give you away or whatever. And I was like, man, this was such a cool experience. Why aren't other games like this? And lo and behold, this one has that and more, right? The fact that one part of the demo they show is the dude's just firing randomly arrows in town and it's marking him as reckless every time he does it. So it's like even little actions like that aren't necessarily story actions have even impact on how people are viewing you and treating you and whatever. And I was like, man, that's cool. This game looks sweet. I will probably play it. But man, I just like what took so long. Well,
That's one of the big questions for the Microsoft brand is just why, how in the world did this happen? But
yeah, because I'm
I
just
think a
like,
lot of it is, they just went full, hardcore. Well, not just them. Everybody was trying to find, that next Destiny or live service. I think just an obsession with live service.
yeah, we've talked about that before. Too many places trying to have live service is just it's man. And again, you have games like hell, just recent. We talked about it before, right? With the D&D game, right? Like that everybody played for what feels like the better part of 2 years.
Right.
They made so much money off that game, and there was really other than the servers being available, there was really no live server or live cost of any kind. You just bought your game and you went and played. Like that's it can be done. We're seeing it. We see it a lot with these smaller games launching on Steam regularly now. Right? You don't have to have this, but a lot of people are just done with live service, man. Now you got to get back to hey, just give us a sweet game. We'll buy the crap out of it and play it. But yeah, anyway, if you didn't know a new Fable's coming, they're saying it looks like it will actually launch in 2027, which if the demo they showed is any indicator of them actually making progress on the game, yeah, this is one I feel like, okay, if this is what you're already playing and showing us, there's a real chance it probably could have launched this year, but everybody knows what's happening toward the end of this year with
Right.
GTA 6. So you're like, if we can clear that by a few months, why don't we try to come out Q1, Q2 next year?
And
Right.
as several pieces have mentioned, because of Grand Theft Auto coming out, everybody is trying to fit into that September October window, and that has become insane now.
Yeah.
We are actually at this point starting to beg people to put it off till next year because we ain't going to play all this stuff in September and October.
Yeah. I think that's exactly it, right? We get to the end of this year. That's probably all, unless it's like one of the yearly releases that already has an audience. I
Yeah,
don't know
like
why you'd want to
Wolverine
come
comes
out.
out in September. Wolverine's going to eat, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big licensed character from a big licensed brand. It's gonna sell. Right?
Fire Emblem for Nintendo. People that play Fire Emblem gonna play Fire Emblem. There's nothing else quite like it that's gonna be coming out. So yeah, that's fine. Let's see what else. New Hot Wheels game, and those have actually,
Yeah.
if you hadn't played, those have been really good lately. Oh, but Star Wars Zero Company coming out August 27th. For everybody that's doing that's basically XCOM, but they made it Star Wars. That's gonna be a first day
Shoot,
purchase.
I don't know. Depending on how some recent Star Wars things are done, that might be a dice roll.
I think Star Wars for making XCOM is gonna be a good proposition
I
though.
would think so too. I would think so. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think I'm hoping when this game launches, again, we're probably close to a year away from it, 9 months probably at least. But I'm hoping it does well and catches on so we can say, like, hey, this worked 18 years, or at that point, by the time it launches, 19 years
Yep.
ago, and still works today. We should probably be making more games like this. Right. But numbers are what prove everything for companies these days. So
Good God,
hopefully it
there's another
works.
Star Wars game coming October 6th. We are under assault right now. Galactic Racer launches October 6th. So again, if you want to go pod racing, and if you watched the episode 1, you probably you have wanted to go pod racing for a while.
Yep. But all right, dude, that's kind of all I have to say on the Fable situation. So I'm gonna give you a time.
Yeah, one of the many, basically, although E3 no longer exists, everybody still kind of shows what their hot games are in June because we're just all conditioned to expect that at this point. And Sony had their state of play. I mentioned Wolverine. There also was a new God of War game reveal. And oh my God, the main character is a woman. People have lost their damn minds. The same people. Why is it woke? It's DEI God of War. Like, no, this is literally Kratos' wife, who is like pretty much the Norse trilogy has been about, them honoring her, burying her, trying to resolve all her numerous issues. And if you know Norse mythology, well, not just Norse mythology, pretty much anybody's mythology, it pretty much is just messy family drama at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole not Star Wars, the whole God of War Norse trilogy has basically been about Faye and her family and trying to resolve it. But again, looking at it, for my money, looks really good because okay, she does. Well, this is spoilers for anybody that wants to just skip ahead a few seconds. Faye does die during that trilogy. She, being a goddess, goes to the afterlife and finds out that again, apparently, if you're a dead god, there's a whole other afterlife, and gods don't react well to not being alive, not being worshipped, and not being in charge of everything. So there's all these crazy power struggles between all these dead deities. It looks incredible, but the typical people like, why is it so woke? Why is she a woman? And why isn't she hot? First of all, anybody that anybody that doesn't think Deborah Ann Wall is hot, I don't know what to tell you. I understand everybody, but everybody obviously has their own different opinions about who's attractive. But a lot of people argue like, well, she's in this game, she's way less hot than she looks in real life. She literally just died in this game.
Yeah. Like, here's
She's,
the weird thing to me, though, is like, this is a character that already existed.
yeah,
It's not like they went and, even if they did, it wouldn't be that big a deal, but it's not like they went and made a character to just be like, oh, well, we just want a woman as a lead character this time. Like, she's actually part of the story.
right.
Like, that's the part I'm not getting. It's like, this is a character that's already, and we're just taking a game, at least for now, to focus on this character. Like, what? Like, I don't know. It's not that big a deal. It's
Now,
like
you
playing
always got the
Zelda.
option to not play it if you don't want to play it.
It's like playing Legend of Zelda, and this time you get to be Zelda.
Which I think they have done at this point. Almost
Exactly.
every major franchise. There was one where Peach saved Mario. Obviously, in the movies, they have given Peach a lot more agency and made her a more interesting character. Castlevania has had several female heroes as the main character at this point. There's no wheel is being reinvented here.
Yeah, that's the part I'm missing. I'm going like, this isn't even new. Like, we can take other properties that have similar setups and do the same thing, which we've done already. So, yeah, if you're complaining, like, this is a you problem.
Right?
Like,
Lots of other people are going to play this game, enjoy this game. It looks like there are going to be some, for people that have played the previous games, there will be moments because it's not a prequel, it's not a sequel, literally because she is in the afterlife. Her storyline is going on basically at the same time Kratos' storyline. So there will be points in the game where you're like, oh, that's why that happened. That's what was going on.
yeah, see, that could be fun too. You know, put any like chauvinistic ideas you have aside. You could be using this to explain how certain things happen or why certain characters treated Kratos a certain way or whatever, right? Like, there's a whole other thing that's been happening concurrently that you get to tell that story. So like, I don't have a problem with this at all. I don't even know.
And by the way, where did we get this theory that if a woman's going to be the main character, she has to look a certain way? That's always been ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree.
The woman, according to Asmongold and his like, if the woman's going to be the main character, she's got to be hot. But the guy can look like Wolverine, Mario.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Trying to judge our short kings, but I don't think most people would put Mario's body forth as a sex symbol. Now, again, if you're if you got the Mario only fans, I'm not judging. But
You know what? Side note, that is one of the things I'm enjoying about professional wrestling these days. Is it feels like we're getting more and more people of like different sizes, backgrounds, body types,
absolutely,
heights, right? And it is making it more entertaining and you can tell more stories and you can just do more stuff. So like, why not apply that to video games? Like, we see a whole other world where it's working. So it's like,
right?
yeah, let's do it, man.
if you ain't complaining, when the thing is the main character or something, don't be complaining about Faye, all right?
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally true. I'm down for it. But all right, let's talk about some stuff we learned this week because I got a funny one. This one, I don't know, man. I like. Let's just say I sometimes just gotta love Germans, man. So, for those of you who don't know, German is a very interesting language because there's some words that just don't sound like anything, and there's others that sound exactly like what you think they are in English with just like another syllable added to them. And then sometimes they just smash words together to make a word in German, which I find a very interesting thing about that language. For example, if you've ever seen a German winter orb in Magic, it's actually Frostbringer, which is hilarious. So I started looking around and came across this post on Blue Sky where somebody was talking about the name of the original Ocarina of Time in German. And they showed the box art. It's actually called Das Flutenduten.
That's great.
Which I'm like, wow, like that makes it sound so much more fun than it actually
Right.
is. Not that the game's bad. I enjoyed it. But Das Flutenduten sounds like a whole other like happy-go-lucky Pikmin experience. And it's definitely not that. But what made it even better for me is they also showed the remake, and the title on the box was Das Flutenduten Rebooten.
That's right.
And I'm just like, dude, you can't. That's wild. Like, language is always so interesting. You just never know how something's going to look or sound or whatever when it's translated. But yeah, that I just thought was a funny thing that I came across that I wanted to share. Nothing
You're making
super
me want to
serious.
play it in German now, and I probably already own it somewhere in English. But
Yeah. I mean, it's a fun game anyway to replay. The fact that it was a game good enough that they branded, made actual like ocarinas that you could play. Like people were finding ways to play the tune on different instruments. Like that game,
I mean, many people consider it to be 10 out of 10, perhaps the best game ever.
it was I don't want to say this out of turn, but like, outside of the original, it might have been the most like culturally penetrating of them, honestly, because I feel like I saw so much
Yeah,
branded to that all over them, even on shirts and
right.
backpack, hell, even the little, what was that? The little, hey, listen, like
Yeah.
that little thing, whatever she was called. Like, even that was just like a meme on its own at one point. So, like, yeah, just all
When
around cool stuff.
people, when we talk about game of the year, as we will later, and then as we do throughout the year, people say, "Hey, it's Ocarina of Time good." When they use you basically almost like an adjective,
Yeah. Like you're the standard, you know?
it is that where how they'll say like, "Hey, what is this movie? It's Die Hard on a boat," or Die
Yeah,
Hard on
that's
a
true.
speed. It's Die Hard on a bus.
That's true. Yeah, we do kind of do that a lot. And I'm guilty of it too, so I can't even say nothing. But all right, dude, what do you got? Because all I got is some flute and dutons.
You say all you got, like that's nothing. NBA The Run launched this week, and for everybody that doesn't know, it is very much in the style of an arcade basketball, kind of like inspired by NBA Jam, NBA Street. Actually, has a couple of people on the team that worked on NBA Street, and has NBA Street's announcer Bobito, who, if you ever played the game, is iconic. And I'm not going to attempt to do the voice, but yeah, he again is incredible, talking about how he basically is like talk about using somebody as an adjective. He is like the Tim Kitzrow of that franchise. For Tim Kitzrow is the NBA Jam, boom shakalaka. Just
Yep.
synonymous with that game. Can't even imagine it without his voices. And there's just even though it's arcade, there really is so much strategy to it that I'm still figuring out and finding out. And a lot of stuff when they first came up with the idea, it was just the run. When I first covered it, it had no connection to the NBA, no actual basketball players, but because the NBA realizes, how important NBA Jam is basically a gateway drug to it. There's an entire generation of people that only like basketball because they played NBA Jam. They
Bro,
they weren't fans until they picked up the game and became lifelong fans.
first time I saw NBA Jam, we were on a trip to we were at the Epcot Center, and they had an arcade area, went in there, me and a buddy played, and dude, I must have played on that game for like an hour and a half. And I was just like, dude, this game's so much fun. So like, yeah, I totally get how that would rope people into checking out
For
NBA
the
stuff.
for it wasn't just a great basketball game, it was a great video game, period.
Yeah, for sure.
The NBA reached out to them and said, "Hey, would you like NBA branding on your basketball game?" Well, yeah, we would. We would
Yeah.
absolutely love
The
that.
first answer was yes. The second question was, how much does it cost?
Also, that
But
but yeah,
apparently enough, you know?
they were able to do that, and so far, it's reviewing very well. There's a whole lot of strategy to it that you don't necessarily realize. As the saying goes, easy to learn, hard to master. I'm still looking online with different people's other because it's basically 3-on-3. So kind of like it's the classic classic NBA street mold, and they're just a lot of fun. Also, another thing is that they did a lot of research, talked to some other people, that kind of done similar arcade type games and hadn't done so well. Let's face it, the graveyard full of arcade games, unfortunately, is very extensive. And one of the things they heard from everybody was, whatever you do not go free to play. So many games
Mm.
died going free to play. They said, you know what? I think the standard edition is $30. The quote unquote deluxe edition is $39, and in a time when we're expecting Grand Theft Auto and a lot of other games to launch at around 100, that's the price for, hey, you'll try it at $30.
I think that's exactly it, right? When it's and I think we talked about this before, when it's a small, quirky, independent thing and I can try it out for under 20 bucks, probably going to do it a lot if it even looks fun, right? A lot of these games, hell, on Steam are $8, $12.
Exactly.
Like, sure. If you give me one that's well produced from a studio I know, high production, whatever, and I can get it for under 30, yeah, if I'm interested, I'm probably still going to take a shot at it. Now, if you're at the 60 and 70 range, hey, hold up. Right? Like, I got to do more research. But yeah,
And obviously, if you're a fan of the product and you want to, because there's been a couple of betas, as I mentioned, sadly, we don't get nearly as many arcade sports games as we used to. We talked about how you talk about a game like, why haven't we had, another NBA Jam, NFL Blitz? I mean, those games were so much fun. But even when people have tried to do it recently, it just hasn't worked out. So hopefully this one does.
yeah, it's Blitz was the other one that ate a
Yeah.
lot of my quarters. Gosh damn, I don't even want to talk about how much money I put into those machines.
If leg dropping people after you tackle them is wrong, I don't want to be right.
For real. Oh my goodness.
Which, unfortunately, it was much less play, but it was incredible. There's a WWE All Stars, basically NBA Jam, only with wrestling, and God, that game was so much fun.
Yeah, didn't really get to play that one much, but I watched some people play that one. But all right, dude, let's get into some news topics because there's a few interesting things to cover this week. One of the things I want to start with, there was an article on Polygon that they were going over Chris Cox notes from the Hasbro earnings report. And one of the things they tried to highlight was him saying that like Arena doesn't necessarily reflect how most people play Magic, which is true. I think the way they were going about it wasn't 100% accurate, but we all know that in paper, the most popular format is Commander.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's really
No.
up for debate at this point. And the most popular format on Arena is Standard. Not that that's a bad thing, but both of those generate a good amount of money for Wizards. The other thing, though, they pointed out, which I think if you read this the wrong way, it gives the wrong impression, was that during the most recent earnings report, they said that Magic Arena makes up something like 10 or 12% of Magic's overall revenue. Whereas in a couple of years prior, it had made up like 15 to 20%. So I think people can read that or 20 to 25%, I think they said, is that it can be misinterpreted that, oh, Arena's failing. It's like, no, it's really that paper just made way more money.
Yeah.
And it didn't keep pace, really, was the issue there. And I think for several reasons, just how people engage with the product. You have now a third Universes Beyond set every year that one sells really well and two has a higher price per item. So I
And
mean,
I don't know what the percentage is. You probably do, but I mean, a significant portion of Arena's player base is able to play it for free because, again, that is how the product is
yeah,
designed.
Also true. And there's
I'm
several
sure you got
people
at
who,
least, I don't know, maybe 35, 40% of people play at Arena putting no money into it whatsoever.
yeah, or minimal, right?
Yeah,
Maybe buy like the mastery pass for
right.
whatever it is, $20 every 2 or 3 months or whatever, right?
There is
So,
obviously, not really a way to play paper magic for free. There are some budget decks that have done well, but the overwhelming majority of people that are playing paper are putting a fair amount of cash into it.
oh, for sure, for sure. And I think those two factors really are the reasons that you're like, okay, well, yeah, it doesn't make up as much. But one of the things he kind of hinted at is, well, we know we kind of want to get Commander on Arena. And this is interesting because I had done an interview with one of the Arena devs, and they kind of mentioned like, yeah, we're working on Arena stuff. We don't have a timeline. Other people locally, and I can't say certain things that I've talked to have made it sound like there are some Commander things already in the works or in process, but I'm guessing the biggest issues are still UI things, right?
Yeah.
How do you fit 4 different battlefields on an arena screen? Like, does it involve needing a whole new client or whatever? So they still got to figure all that out. But I brought it up because I think this means that Arena could possibly be closer, or at least, or Commander being prioritized for Arena than we may have thought before. Because there was a little bit of time where I'm like, okay, it's going to do well for you. Get it out when you get it out there. You'd probably rather it just be better, whatever. But you might be prioritizing it now if the guy at the top saying, hey, how do we get Arena up back to 15, 20, 25% of the overall revenue? If the secret's Commander, then that's probably going to be getting extra attention.
Yeah.
And again, that's a little bit of speculation, just reading between the
I mean,
lines,
that is the
putting.
most logical, obvious answer is, hey, most popular format, get that on Arena.
Yeah, because we are seeing still a lot of Arena players, and there's in most of the popular formats you're playing on there, you don't really have downtime trying to find opponents, even when I'm playing at like 1 in the morning or whatever. So I don't think that's really the issue, but it's, hey, how do we just get more faces onto Arena? How do we get them to spend more money on Arena? Commander's the easy answer. Like, there might be some other ways, because he did say we're going to be trying to roll some different ways out to play Magic on Arena. So maybe they're going to experiment with other formats and stuff from time to time. But Commander's the easy win, I think. So yeah, I don't know, but hey, they still are saying that it looks like Wizards has a potential chance to make close to $2 billion by the end of this year, based on first quarter projections. So yeah, Magic's doing all right, even without Commander on Arena. Sad thing though, or maybe, I mean, here, this story just talks to the popularity of card games right now, but particularly Pokemon. But there's a store in, I think it was New Jersey. Well, similar, they had a break in New Jersey, but this one actually was in California. They said they're estimating $15,000 worth of Pokemon cards that were taken in under 40 seconds out of the store.
Just stuff is mind-boggling, and we see it with video games too. I remember writing about stories where they were doing basically Fast and the Furious type stuff, and moving cars in between trucks and busting the truck open and throwing the Nintendo Switches out of them like Vin Diesel type stuff. Really, it just
Dude, I tried to tell people years ago when we were running a bunch of the Yu-Gi-Oh regionals and Shonen Jumps and things. Like, we had a tournament where there were people with an actual car waiting outside. They came in, snatch and grabbed, and ran out and got in the car and took off. Right? This isn't even new that this type of stuff's been going on.
where there's money, people will people will figure out how
Yeah,
to do stuff like this. Sadly,
and this sucks because I sympathize with the store owner. I've lived that life,
right?
but in the current climate of everything, like however you want to look at it, and the popularity of Pokemon, and knowing that there have been other major recent break-ins of stores to get Pokemon. Hell, we talked about, I guess, 3 or 4 months ago, Tom Brady's store got broke into, right? So if you know this is a thing, you have to have more than just cameras, right? You got to have extra security on the door. I probably reinforce windows of some kind. Like, if I were opening a store today, and Pokemon would probably be one of my items if I'm doing tabletop gaming, card gaming, whatever. Yeah, I would have the extra security. Hell, I had an extra amount of security even back then when I had my shop.
Exactly.
For
And
sure, I'd be
the
doing it
growth
now.
in the space now has just been exponential.
Yeah, there's no way. Now, fortunately, they at least did have cameras. So they have footage of the three gentlemen who broke in. They do have pictures of their Nissan Altima that drove off. So they at least have some leads and something to work with.
Because
But
if you got to
man,
get away right away, Nissan Altima,
yeah,
baby.
exactly, right? Of all the cars. But yeah, like it's tough, man. It's tough. It feels like we're hearing about some break-in of a game store every couple weeks
Yeah.
somewhere. And those are just the big ones. I'm sure there's way more than that, on a small scale where and here's the thing that's the most annoying if you have a store. When somebody breaks in, destroys a window or a door, whatever they got to do, damages a wall, whatever to come in, and then they take like 2 boxes of products. And it's like, it's not even worth filling out your insurance claim at that point.
Yeah.
Because your insurance claim, your deductible is going to be so high. It's like, whatever, I'll just pay to fix the window, like whatever. Like, you're actually causing more hassle for somebody's small business and money out of their pocket than anything. Because I've had somebody even ask me that in the past. They're like, well, you have insurance that'll cover it. I'm like, well, maybe. Like, in some cases, not even worth it. And I just got to, and even then, you still have to come out of deposit for the deductible before they actually cover the rest of it. So depending on what your policy is, you might still have to pay another $1,000, $2,000, and then they cover everything else. So like, yeah, man, if there's any store owners listening, just get extra security. It sounds like a pain in the butt, and yes, some of it is pricey, but having recorded footage, having extra reinforced locks, even just putting displays or racks or bolting your grid wall behind your windows or whatever, like that's a deterrent that keeps people out, right? And in this case, is good examples. If you could just even slow them down, you have a chance for your alarms to react, police to get there, for them to make a mistake, for you to get pictures of their faces, whatever. At 40 seconds, you're gonna be lucky if you get anything other than the footage you have, sadly. So yeah, man, it sucks. I hate seeing this happen to people. And don't punish your local games. They're mom and pop shops, man. Like, what are we doing? Be good to your neighbors in your neighborhood. Moving on though, this also is related to Pokemon, which is kind of wild, but Pokemon is thinking about going to a My ID system, as it's called, to deter scalpers. So, reading through this article, my understanding is you would get a thing called your My Number card ID. And they would do whatever they need to do to verify this is you. So then this becomes your number for ordering things directly from Pokemon. And then for the super rare stuff, they would have, I guess, online lotteries where you have to put in your My ID, and then each ID can only be in there one time, and it's verified to a person, and then you have to pay for it, and connected to that ID or whatever. And their whole thing is to try to stop scalpers. Like, even Pokemon Direct, the Pokemon TCG company, is saying, hey, even we're seeing just how insane scalping our products is getting, but we're trying to find ways to get the product into the hands of actual customers.
Yeah.
And the number supposedly will be available for people inside and outside of Japan. And their first products are going to be tied to the 30th anniversary stuff. But this sounds crazy to me. We've gotten this bad to where they've got to take these kind of steps.
And as I look at this, another interesting detail is that, if you're under 15, you can't apply for this on your own. You got to have, I guess a legal guardian or somebody do it for you. So that's going to be an additional hassle for, for parents, guardians. Like, hey, why don't you just go play Yu-Gi-Oh?
Well, even just teenagers, right? Like, you just want
Yeah.
a chance to buy one of the new products and you're 12 or
Right?
13. Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't even know, like, I don't blame them because they're just looking at what's happening out in the world and in the
Yeah,
market with their
we
products.
literally just reported on the chaos that's going on out there. It's
Yeah.
thinking about just where the hobby started. I mean, I'm glad that it's still going, all these years later, but that it's gotten to this point is just mind-boggling,
Well, you know what? I read something recently, and it's becoming a belief among a lot of people that Pokemon is barely a hobby anymore. It's almost a business.
right?
You know, everybody, there's all these people ripping packs where they don't even really collect it. They're just opening to resell them and do it again or whatever, looking for the big
I've
hits.
seen so
You
much of
know?
that talking about people that do the live streams.
Yeah. Like it's just business. A
Because
bunch
you
of the people.
absolutely can tell, kind of who plays the game and who's just making a business out of it by kind of their awareness or their lack of awareness on some of the cards.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And here as an example, I just did a fun box because anybody who sees product behind me on my wall during my videos, I have just a bunch of stuff just saved up on the wall. So I was like, hey, I'm just going to do a fun box opening video to open some of this, trade and sell some stuff. But like, let's just open some things and just do a fun video box opening product. And I just made it kind of chill, talking about cards. And then at the end, I talk about the value or whatever. And a couple of people hopped in the comments of like, I don't know why you don't take the time to know more about more of the cards and do this and show more prices while you're opening them. And I was like, dude, that's not the purpose. I'm not here just for big hits and sensationalizing it. This was just a chill video of opening up some cards and connecting with the audience, right? Like,
How dare you enjoy your cards? What's wrong with you?
yeah, but that's basically what it was. I'm just like a couple of people are just mad that I wasn't doing it like typical pack rippers or box openers or whatever you want to call them. Because I'm like, I'm not like the value was secondary. Like I include the value because people want, if you don't mention it, people are going to ask you about it. So you might as well. But that's just the draw. The real reality is I'm just here hanging out opening packs. But when they're used to seeing that out in the world and people are just opening boxes, chasing the big cards or even,
Yeah.
and to some extent, that's slowly coming into Magic as well, right? We're seeing non Magic creators getting into Magic and then just, hey, let me go buy this case of collector's boosters and see if we get the big hits or whatever. So, I mean, if that's what you're used to, I get it. But this whole Pokemon thing, man, I on the one hand, I will say this for the Pokemon trading card company, I commend you because you're at least trying to do something. And there's not a lot they can do once the product leaves their hands,
Right.
So they're doing what they can to say, hey, at least if we make this system, it will be hard for scalpers to have multiple ID. I mean, I guess technically you could probably get 5 or 6 friends or relatives and get them to fill out stuff and try to get them in the, but it's a huge hassle and you're at least putting deterrence
Yeah.
to where they can't just have a bunch of bots or whatever, give everybody, hey, I'm going to give you an extra $100 when this goes live, buy the thing for me, whatever.
I'll tell
The,
you right now, I ain't got 6 relatives. I could get to do that.
I have relatives that would, but boy, would they be inept at doing it because they are not Magic or gaming centric.
Yeah.
They would just be trying to help because I asked them to help. So it wouldn't go well. So yeah, like I said, I commend them. I hope it works. I'm just also sad that it's come to that for a lot of people. And
Yeah, it's just when your hobby loses, and I guess any hobby that is fortunate enough to stick around for 20 or 30 years and become profitable is gonna unfortunately lose some of the innocence.
yeah, and this kind of in some ways confirms a little bit of what Watsy was saying because I can't remember where they were quoted, but somebody involved with the secret layer product had said that they honestly believe only a small percentage of their stuff is going directly to bots and whatever. They believe their system has got a lot of it out. It's just there's a lot of people buying it
Yeah,
and they can't print enough of it. So they get how it looks like bots might have got in there and bought a bunch of the stuff, which, fair.
yeah. Unfortunately, perception is reality. If people think bots are getting, or if worse, if it happened to you, if you've been in the queue 4 or 5 times and just been SOL, then, as far as you're concerned, yeah, bots rule everything.
Yeah. And I also get to where people immediately are putting stuff on eBay and whatever, like as soon as it shows up. So, but the reality is, it's even if it's not bots or some people, they know they can make a quick buck,
Yeah.
right? I can get in the queue, I can buy something for $30. I know I can sell it for 80 in less than a month when it shows up. So
And
I,
again, as you know, our our economy is what it is. It literally is hard to to really fault somebody that is actually trying to
yeah,
trying to make money in the system that we got.
it's a tough time, man, for a lot of people. So that's a rough one. But yeah, some good news. Apparently, you have some good news that the James Bond game might actually be delivering on what everybody expected.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing potential Game of the Year nominee. It's called 007 First Light, and as you might figure, that basically is kind of like a James Bond Begins. It's not attached to any really previous canon. This is a kind of a brand new James Bond story about him, kind of stumbling upon a mission, tried to help, and all of a sudden, hey, you're pretty good at this. Would you like to? And let me tell you, after a lifetime of hearing people to say who James Bond works for, the first time they said, "Would you like to join His Majesty's Secret Service?" Man, I did a double take because it's
Oh,
been Her Majesty's Secret Service for literally our entire life.
yeah, that's wild. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah,
Like,
you're
it's
right.
been, oh yeah, it is King Charles's Secret Service now. I completely had, I mean, I obviously knew that Queen Elizabeth was no longer with us, but that just was not a connection I made until I heard them say it out loud.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. I don't even if I went back and played the old ones and I came up, I'm not even sure how much I would have noticed. But yeah, I guess you just got so used to hearing it.
Right? Because I think one of the movies even called like Her Majesty's Secret Service. And basically, this just like I said, kind of the beginning, and it's by IO Interactive, who's done Hitman. If you ever played the Hitman games, they're absolutely the perfect people to do this because while we've had games before, especially GoldenEye, which I guess is probably the best James Bond game we've had before this. Great shooter, but it really doesn't fulfill most of the other because James Bond, but contrary to popular, doesn't always shoot all his problems. A
Yeah.
lot of times, because again, he's a handsome, smooth, very suave secret agent. Sometimes, he talks his way out of it. Sometimes, he flirts his way out of the problem. And apparently, this game contains all of those things. I
Hey,
saw one,
sometimes he's gotta go play a game of poker, you
right?
know?
I saw one scene where he's obviously has broken into somebody's apartment. And they're like, hey, bro, what you doing here? Oh, I'm a building inspector. I'm checking for asbestos. And depending on I guess how good you are at being James Bond, they may buy it, they may not buy it. But it's great that it gives you this many. A lot of replay value too. A lot of people are saying, "Hey, okay, yeah, you may." Some people want to go through there and just be like Hitman, murder everybody, but then you may want to go through and try to do kind of a pacifist playthrough and see how many things you can talk your way or bluff your way out of. So,
Yeah, and let's not forget, you could get the wonderful stylings and looks of Lenny Kravitz in the game.
who looks like just talk about some genetics I am envious of. What is he, like 57,
He's
58?
gotta be up there.
Yeah, and he's apparently one of the villains in the game. Looks like he is chiseled out of granite. Seriously.
I'm gonna see Lenny Kravitz is officially 62. Whoa, no, 62.
Well, I mean, I knew he was older than us, and we
Yeah,
ain't,
but I was gonna say like 55. Like, wow. Okay, well, go ahead, dude.
but yeah, because I mean, I think he was, like marrying Lisa Bonet and dropping hit records while I was still in middle school, so that checks out.
Yeah, fair. Man, dude's been around for a minute.
Right?
But
I
yeah,
would say I hope I look that good when I'm 62. I don't look that good now. So it probably
yeah.
did not on pace for that to
Yeah,
happen.
exactly. You gotta get that meter moving. No, I'm with you though. I think it's cool because the GoldenEye that everybody or the James Bond game that everybody liked in GoldenEye was very much just like shooter, story, shooter, story, shooter. There wasn't a lot of other things going on. So the fact that they found a way to do it and using the same company that makes it because if you've ever seen the Hitman games, there are so many missions that you could solve different ways.
Right.
It's just like, all right, I need to pretend to be a waiter. Let me go beat this guy up, get his outfit. Let me sneak in and stab this person. Let me go into this business meeting and dress as this guy. Like, there's so many things going on. So it's cool that it's going to give you a little more interaction to feel more like a spy,
Yeah.
actually, than just a
Exactly.
shooter.
You were talking about your Fable experience, and like, what are the critiques that people say, hey, look, I paid $70 for this, and you can beat it in 15 hours. The people that have beat it are saying, yeah, you absolutely can, but I mean, there is so much other stuff to collect and things to do. And then, of course, if you want to play through it again and say, hey, what if I win this poker game? What if this thing happens? I'm hearing the replay value is very high, especially for somebody that, like us grew up during the Cold War, watching James Bond, want to order our martinis, shaken, not stirred, do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently, so many little Easter eggs that you might not have caught the first time through. So they definitely, what I hear, extremely high replay value.
So yeah, we'll see how it finishes at the end of the year, but people do seem excited about it. But yeah, this next story is very interesting. So we've talked before about how you can learn so much from Magic and how people try to dumb it down and make it super basic, but it is a fairly complicated game, right? We've talked about how they even have trouble having AI play Magic well because of all the intricacies of the game. Well, there is a guy at the University of Iowa. He's a law professor and apparently a corporate law expert. His name is Diamantis is his last name. But Professor Diamantis has decided he wants to start a 1 credit course to use magic to help enhance people's legal skills as far as writing, interpretation, stuff like that. And basically going over every structure on a card or in a rule as to why a thing interacts or works a certain way and creating these different scenarios and even going as far as to having their, I guess, final be judged by a judge from Seattle to really go over the breakdown of everything, which is pretty damn cool that that's a thing. So they will have, it says they're going to have written and oral arguments just like they would for any other law
Okay.
test or whatever. So now the crazy part to me is that not only does he want to do this, he already has another course that's based around Dungeons and Dragon. And he says they use that to create corporate law simulations to just make them more immersive scenarios to help teach people and make it easier for them to grasp different rules. So this dude is just using games to teach law, which is kind of cool.
So you can be a literal rules lawyer after taking this coursework,
Yeah. Or at least your professor is a literal rules lawyer
right?
in games at the very least. So yeah, I thought that was just kind of a cool story that somebody's actually doing this in Iowa of all places. But yeah, it sounds like he's all in.
I'm sure
Uh,
you've seen all those social media posts where like, hey, use Dungeons and Dragons to write my resume, and you really do learn things like obviously creativity, conflict resolution, problem solving, etc., etc.
yep. And in this case, interactions and language
Yeah,
interpretation, right? Or document interpretation more specifically, because he talks about even quoting different parts of the game rules and different things like that. Because technically, for people who don't know, the Magic rulebook is, if you get to the very competitive tournament rules, whatever, I think it's like 300 pages or something now,
yeah,
technically, if you really want to get down into it. But the basic rules, anybody can figure that out. You can fit those on a couple of pages and we can play. But it just meant if you get technical, there is a lot there.
right.
But yeah, man, the only other thing I got to tell people is, hey, if you're going to be in the LA area next week, come hit us up. We're going to be doing the cookout. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be at Geeky Teas doing some stuff. As a matter of fact, I believe as of a couple of days ago, there's only 15 tickets left. So if you want to get one, call Geeky Teas, get some information, get all that. They'll get you in contact with the right people. I don't have the link right in front of me, unfortunately. But it does mean we won't be able to record a show next week because there's a combination of early access stuff for Marvel superheroes and me having to travel to get
Yeah.
to LA. So logistics are already going to be a nightmare for me. So you won't hear us next week, but we'll be back on the following week. And I'm sure we will have a lot to talk about. Speaking of which, Brian, between now and then, where can they find you?
All right, you can see me on YouTube over at Age of Wagers, doing all sorts of right now mostly baseball related content. I do have a college football video coming because there's some crazy stuff happening over there.
And you can find me everywhere at PowrDragn, PowrDragn. If you want some budget lists, that stuff is up right now. We have a couple on the YouTube channel, and we're going to have a lot coming out for Marvel superheroes. Your crafting guides and everything else. Those will start hitting over in the next few days. So be sure to go follow me there. But as always, wherever you're watching or listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Please remember to take care of yourselves and your family. Remember to be awesome. And most importantly, be awesome to each other.